Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Laquinas Tokaijah, mom, vlogger, serial entrepreneur, coach, and self-proclaimed beauty and fashion guru. Today's video is going to be a different concept that I am trying out, and I would love your feedback on what you think about it, so please watch to the end and let me know. I am going to be doing a story time, yay, and I'm kind of excited about it, and also like, ooh, that feeling also. If you follow me on any of my other social platforms, then you know that I just recently quit my job as a full-time salaried personal trainer. This story will be about why I quit that job, and then also how I plan on replacing my income in 2024. So I'm actually going to start this story from where I applied and got hired to give a little backstory to what led up to me quitting my job. In July of this year, I took and passed the certified personal trainer's exam through NASM, National Academy of Sports and Medicine. And the crazy thing is, I actually applied for this job a week before my exam so that I could use my interview as a motivation to study harder for the exam. Because although I've been studying for a year, I just kept putting off taking the exam. I don't know why. My exam date ended up being the day before my first interview. I had a total of 2 interviews. My first interview was with the regional manager and the quote-unquote sales director, and my second interview was with the sales director and the general manager, who ends up just being that manager in this story, or this manager. In my first and second interview, I was told about how busy and thriving this establishment was, and in my second interview, I was told that the position was salaried, which at first seemed like good news to me, because although I had spent a year studying to become a personal trainer, this was honestly my first experience as a personal trainer, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get paid to gain experience and to learn. So during my second interview with that manager, I was told that the position was salaried because they were trying to motivate personal trainers to want to do their job, because the current personal trainers, or some of the current personal trainers that they have there, was just lazy and unmotivated. I should have took this as the first red flag, but at the time I didn't know the managers, the establishment, or any of the other trainers. In the first 2 weeks of working at this establishment, I was introduced to the sales and client prospecting process. Side note, this is exactly the type of experience I was excited about learning. As an entrepreneur at heart, one thing I always look for is evergreen experience and knowledge that I can use throughout my life and in all of my businesses. However, within the first 2 weeks, it was clear that this establishment was not as thriving and as busy as I was led to believe. I probably did a total of 10 to 15 actual client consultations in my entire 5 months at this establishment. As a new trainer with no experience, something I did share in my interviews, both of them, I was expected to bring in my own clientele and or compete with other trainers by tabling for members that had already been coming to this gym for years. If you've ever been a trainer, or if you've ever been at the gym, you know how difficult that could be. Not only that, all new members were given directly to the sales director, who was on commission, so highly competitive. There's also another side note. This was also a hiccup for the commission trainers, but we'll get into that later. After about a month and a half of working here, the FD, or fitness director, came back to work. She was on maternity leave. Upon her arrival, upon meeting her for the first time, or just on her arrival, she told me I was not properly onboarded or trained. So she took it upon herself to onboard me and train me. I learned a lot from her, and I will always be grateful for her. Although she wasn't much like the other trainers, the experience, or her onboarding, probably was one of the best experiences about working at this establishment, outside of working face-to-face with clients or gaining wisdom and guidance from seasoned trainers. However, within a month to 2 months of her returning to work, she stepped down from the position, although she still works there and is holding on to her belief that this is a great company to work for. After she stepped down, that manager that hired me, the one that called the trainers lazy, became both the general manager and the FD or personal trainers managers. In my opinion, this transition is what really shifts the atmosphere for me and for other trainers. Not only did the commission trainers find out about the salaried trainers, mind you, a secret that I was involuntarily responsible for keeping. As a new employee, my responsibility was to hide the fact that they were paying salaried trainers after they had their commission trainers working there for some time, complaining about their pay. Upon this manager becoming the general manager and the personal training manager, he started demanding that I do tasks that were not a part of my job description because I was a salary trainer. I feel I need to backtrack just a little bit. So before learning about the salaried trainers, the commission trainers had already been complaining to this establishment about their pay. They were complaining about having to compete with selling slots on their schedule with the sales director who does not take clients, whom I also stated earlier gets all the new members. So all the hot leads goes into his funnels, and we are left competing for the members that are already on the floor and that have already displayed their disinterest for our services. And the sales director would re-sign their clients, faithful clients that had already been coming to these commission trainers for so long, which would take away what should be their automatic guaranteed commission. These trainers would experience checks as low as $600 to $700 in a bi-weekly check, so $1,400 a month. And yet they sticked with this company, not being able to buy groceries or pay rent. And they watched them suffer or struggle, but offered salaries to other trainers. As a salary trainer, I did not experience this, but this was a key indicator of how they treat the trainers that aren't valuable to them, how they treated their employees, how this wasn't even something that they were even discussing or considering, even though their trainers were still showing up. And I also started to pay attention to the red flag of, I first started working, the sales director was filling my books as quickly as possible as he could, and I was getting majority of the clients, although he wasn't putting any clients on their books. So I started to look at myself as them. And then when we got a new hire, I realized that there wasn't as many, he wasn't adding any more clients to my book, but I became responsible for getting new clients, although I was later prohibited from taking sales, from doing the sales with clients because my closing rate was so low, although I wasn't getting a lot of practice. I am now maybe 3.5 months into working this position with maybe 2 to 3 chances per week in a 40-hour week, 2 to 3 chances to practice a sales pitch. And now I have been prohibited from doing sales at all. But I'm also responsible for getting my own clients. Something isn't adding up. At first, I didn't mind that I wasn't able to do sales because I wanted to focus more on being a trainer. But then I realized the experience that I came to this job to gain was being snatched from me, and instead I was being forced to complete tasks that again were not a part of my job description, like watching kids in a daycare or cleaning the bathroom. This wasn't gonna make me a better trainer. So here's the story within a story to kind of set the tone for how things had shifted for me. One day I was standing at the front desk programming for one of my clients. There was about 2 staff members and a customer standing at the front desk when this manager walks from the back with a resistance band in his hand. He comes up to me, he says, "Lala, did you have this band? I found it in the back hanging on a door." And I looked up and I was like, "No, I haven't seen that band," and went back to what I was doing. He then says, "Well, come and put it in the personal trainer's office." Mind you, this personal trainer's office is not even 200 feet from where he's standing. So I was like, "Are you serious? Do you want me to come from behind the desk to take this resistant band out of your hand, to take it to the personal trainer's office, again, that you're standing right in front of?" And he was like, yes, that I needed to learn to be a team player. So I had to remind him that We're all on one team, and you needed to learn to be a leader and not lazy. The experience in that moment reminded me of when your mother would call you into her room to turn her TV off or cut her light off and dared you to say something. It was in that moment what I realized was that the trainers weren't lazy. They were just looking for blindly obedient employees, and that was never going to be, as never was going to be me. It never has been me. As an employee, I'm always looking for opportunity of growth and what my position is. How can I become better at my position, and how can my position better the company? None of what he began to ask me to do was making me a better personal trainer. I wasn't allowed to do my own sales. Instead, when he found that I didn't have clients, instead he turned me into a custodial, a daycare worker, or anything else that did not fit my job description. So my final red flag was I found out that I had a medical complication in August, but I wasn't able to schedule my surgery until December. I went to this manager or that manager November the 1st to let him know that I was going to need time off work. And instead of respecting my decision to prioritize my health, I was made to feel guilty that I wasn't going to be there for my clients and that I was going to be causing a delay in business at this establishment. I was also asked to focus on strategizing a plan for me to gain clients during my recovery period. My thoughts was, sir, I am going to be off recovering. You in this place will be the last thing I'll be thinking about during that time. They hired me as a salary trainer. So what they bought for that with that salary was my time and my schedule availability. It was their job to fill my books because I wasn't going to make any money off of sales, and I wasn't even allowed to practice or gain the experience of sales, so I would never be in a position to do so. I also thought that if I had to sit and strategize how I was going to bring in more business to this establishment when that's already their job and I don't get paid to strategize, I could just strategize for myself. If I could wake up and be dedicated to somebody else's business day in and day out, then I could just be dedicated to myself. The reason for coming into an establishment and working for an establishment is to gain experience in areas that you're not strong in, resources, and with help and with guidance. So how did I get to the point where I decided to quit my job? And during my 2 weeks recovery leave, I was also on fall break and working 40+ hours as a full-time student, mom, and business owner. I had time to start back journaling, meditating, stretching, and just focusing on my mental health. And as the days started to dwindle down, I started dreading going back to this establishment where I was asked to maintain unrealistic expectations. And so I started talking to my family about how I was feeling and what changes would occur if we were to lose this additional income. And everyone in my family was okay with the changes that losing this additional income would mean in the short period. But during that time of being able to realize that this was not the place for me to be every day and to show up and put my energy into, it started to spark motivation and creativity. And I just decided to look over at the little corner in my living room that I have been saying would become my home office for years. I started to look at all that I have accomplished and how close I am to completing my degree, and I was like, it's time to take the leap. So in 2024, I will be launching my own virtual coaching business. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about strategizing for myself. I'm excited about gaining the experience putting myself in a position to gain the experiences on my own and just doing what's best for me. I will be sharing my entire business journey here on this channel. I may even do more story times about just other experiences in my life. Thank you for tuning in and listening to my story time. If you like this video, please leave it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already, I do encourage you to subscribe and join the fam. If you like story times and want me to do more of these, please leave it in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about this editing concept of the picture-in-picture. If you don't already follow me on all of my other social media platforms, I will leave the links in the description box below. Go ahead and check those out. Also, if you enjoyed this video and have a little more time, go ahead and check out the upcoming video. Until next time, peace and love.